Hey everyone, Diamondback Terrapins here, and today we are talking about baby turtle care and their setup and some things that you can expect from baby turtles. Now, for those of you that only want to watch like 30 seconds of this video, I'll give you a quick rundown of everything that is important with hatchling turtles. 1. A heater. 2. A basking area. 3. A heat lamp. 4. A UVB bulb, which you can get those in combo, so you only have to use one bulb, save some electric. And a filter to keep the water clean. That is everything that you need for a quick rundown. Now, let's get into details about these things. Alright, let's start with the turtle itself. Hopefully before you bought your turtle, you researched how big they can get as adults. Because when they are adults, they're going to possibly need a very large habitat depending on the species. Most likely you have a red-eared slider. Those can get very large, especially if they are female, and you could possibly need a 100-gallon tank. Because with turtles as adults, you should really follow the rule, 10 gallons of water per inch of shell length to them. Now let's start with one that I feel some people actually forget about when they buy a hatchling turtle. This is common for people not to get. A heater for the water. I think this is one of the most important things that some people actually forget about. A heater. Now there are 4 hatchlings in this tank, and 2 I hatched myself, 2 I did not. The 2 that I started in this tank with the heater, before the yolk was even finished absorbing, their shell actually has signs of growth, that the turtle actually was growing just from absorbing the yolk. Whereas the turtles that I got probably weren't held in that warm of water and have actually not started showing signs of growth yet. That's how important the warmth of the water is. Now with hatchlings, you want to try and keep the water around 80 degrees because hatchlings need warmer than adults. Once turtles get bigger, you can drop the temps down into the high 70s and they will do good. Even not having heater, I feel, as long as you don't keep your house freezing and it stays at 75, you're perfectly fine. Let's move on to the basking area. Turtles are cold-blooded, and they need to thermoregulate their body temperatures. Being cold-blooded, they have to rely on temperatures to help raise and lower their body heat. So when they're feeling cold, and which turtles love to bask, they need an area that they can pull themselves out of the water and completely dry off. So whatever you choose as a basking area, it just has to be something that they can pull themselves out of the water and it's completely dry. It helps to keep them warm, and also there can be bacteria in the water from feeding them in there, them using the bathroom. It helps kill that may be on their shell so they don't get shell rot or any type of fungus on them. Now, a lot of people buy the floating docks, and as adults, those will start to sink. So you want to look into something sturdier in the future. Like on the 75-gallon tank there, that is an above tank basking area, and it sits on top of the tank. You can see the ramp goes down into there. That is a permanent solution. Moving on, what size tank should you have, and what should be the water depth? Now this is a 10-gallon tank, and for hatchlings a 10 or 20-gallon tank works perfect for them. But what should you keep the water depth at? Right now I keep my tank at about 2 inches until I know the hatchlings are eating and growing and gaining strength. But once your turtles start growing and they seem to be really strong swimmers, you can move your hatchlings into any size tank that you want. 120 or bigger. They will do fine. Water depth can be as high as you can make it, and that's what you want once they get bigger. The sky's the limit. Again, as they grow, you should follow the shell length rule. 10 gallons of water per inch of shell length. Moving on, filtering the water. Now in this tank I do not have a filter. Why is that? Well, with this low amount of water, it's kind of a waste to buy a filter. And here's why. If you just keep changing the water every week, the water will stay clean. Hatchlings grow really fast. If you buy a filter for a 10-gallon tank, once this turtle gets bigger, that filter that you bought is just a waste of money, because it will not be able to handle the amount of waste that turtle is produced. So you spent 20 or 30 bucks on a small little filter that you're probably never going to use again. So that's why I don't have a filter. It's a waste of money with hatchlings. Once you get into like the bigger tanks, you want to buy a filter for those bigger tanks. And turtles produce a lot of waste, so you want a filter that when you buy a filter, if you have a 20-gallon tank, you want to buy a filter that says it's for a 40 or 60-gallon tank. You want to go double, triple the filtration. You have a 75-gallon tank. You want to go for a filter that says for a 150 at least, or bigger. Canister filters, I always recommend, are the best. Fluval. A lot of people are now doing Sun, which has built-in UV sterilizer. Has a built-in UV sterilizer, which just helps keep the water crystal clear and is awesome. So if you're really diligent, like I am, and constantly change the water, you are fine. But if you are lazy, go ahead and spend that 20 to 30 bucks. You'll just have a filter sitting underneath your cabinet of the tank, because it will quickly become junk. Turtles grow very fast if you keep the water temps proper. Alright, feeding. There are a bunch of hatchling foods on the market, and you don't really need those. They're just higher in protein, and I don't feel hatchlings need that. It's also mixed with krill and stuff, the dried shrimp, krill, and that's just high on protein, and if you don't stop feeding that turtle in time, it can help accelerate their growth too fast, and it will ruin their shell. And also, turtles can get addicted to it where they won't take pellets. So why take the risk? So just use the adult food. If it's too big for them, just break it down, and the turtles will have no problem eating it. Now, how much do you want to feed them of your turtle food of your choice? Pretty much as hatchlings, I say feed as much as you want until they hit about 3 inches. Then you want to majorly cut down to feeding every other day, and only as much as can fit in the turtle's head, as if it was hollow. Simple enough. Substrate. What do you want with your hatchlings? What do you want on the bottom of your tank? On YouTube, I see tons of videos with fish tank gravel on the bottom, and that is a big no. Once the turtles get bigger, they can eat that, and it can become impacted inside them, and it will kill them. You do not want gravel for a substrate. That is a big no. You can use large rocks, river rocks, just as long as it's bigger than their head and it can't eat it. That is fine. You can use sand. You can just go to the hardware store and pick up sand. You have to wash it, and it makes a good bottom, which I do use in my larger tanks. Moving on to lighting. As I said towards the beginning of this video, turtles love to bask, so you're going to need a light that produces heat. A regular household bulb will work. 75 watt produces enough heat to keep the basking area, which you want at 90 degrees. With your lighting, you're going to need a UVB bulb also, if your turtles are not kept outside, because regular bulbs do not produce UVB, and UVB bulbs by themselves do not produce heat. But you can get a combo bulb that does produce heat and UVB, but those are kind of expensive. Now, why do you want a UVB bulb? Because UVB bulbs help the turtles absorb calcium from the food that they eat, which will harden their shell. Also, in my opinion, turtles housed with UVB bulbs are more colorful, and I think their patterns show more compared to ones not kept in habitats with the UVB bulbs. So that is important. And with that, we have come to the end of this video. That is everything that you need to keep your turtles happy and healthy. Let's real quick step into some things that you might see with a hatchling. If you get a hatchling and it does not start eating right away, that's perfectly fine. Possibly it is a very young turtle and has just absorbed its yolk, and it can take 1 to 2 weeks before they even start eating. If it's longer than that and it's still not eating the turtle pellets, try colorful or live food. That usually will get a turtle jump started, but you don't want to try and feed them that always. You want to get them on pellets. If I missed anything or you have questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Alright, thanks for watching.